As you will soon discover, I'm going to be coloring a little bit outside the lines this morning. Instead of the typical stewardship moment, I will be sharing a trade secret and giving a eulogy. Bear with me as my picture emerges. Let's start with the trade secret. One of the wards in the old Duke Hospital where Rad and I trained was named Halstead Ward, after Dr. William Stewart Halstead, a founder of the Johns Hopkins Medical School, and a guy who later was entitled the father of modern American surgery. I'm telling you now about this long-dead physician because he was also the author of the infamous Duke medical intern mantra, see one, do one, teach one. This was the little battle cry that was trotted out every time we as students or young doctors in training were learning a new procedure or skill. Learning to draw blood, starting an IV, see one, do one, teach one. A skin biopsy, a spinal tap, a liver biopsy, see one, do one, teach one. Performing a heart transplant? Well, maybe not that one. Anyways, hold that thought. We will be back to it later. And now, the eulogy. Dr. Richard M. Dick Larson, born in Oswego, New York, graduated from Cornell University in 1966, after which he joined the Marine Corps and became a fighter pilot for 6 years. When Vietnam was over, Dick got out of the military and was accepted to Duke Medical School a year before Rad and I started and right before our paths first crossed. Our training overlapped with his for the next 8 or 9 years until he left to become a professor of surgery at the new ECU Medical School, specializing in vascular surgery. During the next 19 years, we saw him infrequently when he would come to New Bern and give an occasional lecture at our monthly Medical Society dinner meeting. He also became consultant of choice for my complicated vascular surgery patients, after which the patients would come back, appreciative of the encounter with Dr. Larson, in which he was inevitably described as competent, caring, and thorough. Now you may be thinking, where in the world is she going with this? I'm getting there. Several years later, my kids and I were worshiping in Banner Elk Presbyterian Church near our vacation home in the mountains. One of the communities, by the way, which just recently benefited from your incredible generosity after the hurricane. My youngest daughter had fainted in church and had injured herself. I had her out on the front lawn of the church trying to get her some fresh air, when out came Dick, down from the choir loft to offer whatever medical aid he could. At that point, he didn't recognize me, didn't recall that I myself was a physician, and certainly didn't know that fainting was a regular occurrence in the Moeller household, such that this was no cause for alarm. But a familiar, caring face was nevertheless much appreciated. I then learned that Dr. Larson and his wife Carol had retired to Banner Elk and worshiped with that same congregation with whom we worship when we're up there, and that he was using his God-given proficiency with his hands not to repair blood vessels and damaged organs any longer, but to create art, gorgeous handmade wooden furniture for his customers, a list in which we soon found ourselves, for his church family, and for scores of less fortunate in his community as he embedded himself in the Avery County Habitat for Humanity ministry. Besides this talent recruited for the glory of God, he sang every week in the Banner Elk Presbyterian Church Choir, and frequently with the men's ensemble. He led Bible studies, was an elder, a liturgist, served on probably every committee that little church ever had, and several at the presbytery level also. His was the signature at the bottom of many a letter which we received from the church as they tried to raise money for unexpected expenses on their campus, for urgent needs in the local community, or as they searched for pastors over the years. In the last several years of his life, he gave up his woodworking business and volunteer carpentry skills and became the director of Feeding Avery Families, the local food pantry. 1 week after I was first asked to speak to you with this brief stewardship minute, and 1 week before Hurricane Helene devastated Western North Carolina in general, and Banner Elk in particular, I received word of Dick's late August death. So when Anna asks, who taught you to give? My answer is that one of my teachers was the Dr. Richard M. Larson, who spared not a single one of his gifts in service to his Lord. If not for his death in August, I know that even today, his would be one of the faces passing out food and essential supplies to his neighbors and their devastated community along the Elk River. And that later, his would be one of the teams going out to help rebuild, continuing to witness to his love for his Savior through his stewardship of his many gifts. Listen to how the Apostle Paul describes a good steward in Romans 12, verse 1. This is taken from Eugene Peterson's The Message Bible. So here's what I want you to do, God helping you. Take your everyday, ordinary life, your sleeping, eating, going to work, and walking around life, placing it before God as an offering. Embracing what God has done for you is the best thing you can do for him. That, my friends, is a perfect description of my friend Dick Larson. So, Dr. Larson, maybe you also remembered the Duke mantra, see one, do one, teach one. And now, First Pres, let's put it to use for stewardship. See stewardship, do stewardship, teach stewardship. May it be so.